What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Guys of Texas podcast, episode 11. TCU versus Texas. Texas for the third game in 4 weeks, up by at least 20 at the half and only win by single digits. TCU starts off scoring with the field goal. Texas, Quinn throws a out route to Brooks, and Brooks runs down almost for a touchdown, steps right out of bounds for the touchdown. He got the touchdown right after that, runs it in 2 yards. Texas goes up 7-3. TCU then answers with a field goal. Next drive, Quinn throws one of the ugliest deep balls we have seen so far. Probably not the smartest play, but safety runs across that he didn't see, snags the ball. Witt lays out for the tackle, goes down on their 35, gets up, chases him down on Texas's 40, and strips the ball out. Texas regains possession for a first down, minus 4 yards, and ends up turning that into a field goal. That was the only real big mistake at all that Quinn had that I saw. He looked really sharp after that. They actually, from what I remember, right after that, called the deep ball again. I think 2 plays later after he threw the interception, went right back to the same side, threw a great pass for Worthy. That turns into a field goal. Kick another field goal later on, go up 13-6, and then Texas scores. They had a 13-play, 85-yard drive for almost 5 minutes to go up 19-6. A methodical drive there. Then TCU tries to answer with points and immediately throws an interception. Texas answers again with a touchdown to end the half 26-6. Everything's riding high. And here we go again, a little bit from last year. The second half is just our Achilles heel right now. Texas just cannot find a rhythm again. They go 5 plays, 17 yards with a punt, 6 plays, 38 yards with a punt. They go 10 plays with a field goal after the touchdown from TCU. That first touchdown that TCU scored in the fourth quarter, yes, we're playing zone coverage again, but it was a great play call. You know, the corner chases the wide receiver with the safety up, and then they call for a wheel route around. Linebacker didn't get over and cover. Honestly, it was a good offensive play call against that coverage. But there just seemed to be a lot more missed coverages with the zone. So TCU scores 26-13. Then Texas kicks field goal, go 29-13. TCU then answers again at 29-19. Answers again after a 3-and-out for Texas to go 29-26. And then Quinn ends up having to throw a bomb to A.D. Mitchell. A.D. made a great reaction to the ball, makes a great catch to solidify it for us to win 29-26. Texas goes 9-1 on the season now. TCU can go cry after flipping off A.D. in the stands when in the first, or I guess it was the second quarter. But they can go do their Michael Jordan cry now because they did not beat Texas this year. Another close one. But Texas ends up again at the end of the game. Sark talked about this in press conference. At the end of the game, when they need to step up, they do step up and make the big play. But we should be making those big plays the entire second half and not trying to win it at the end. So, what did you guys think of the game?
Same old, man. It's frustrating. I would love to just be able, like, every single game the last couple of weeks, I feel like halftime. Like, all right, well, do I want to flip over to another game, check out what's going on? Like, and now I know, like, we can't do that. It's always going to be a fight in the second half, and it's just frustrating. Like, we keep talking about the secondary playing so soft and prevent defense, and I just don't understand why they're making changes for it. Like, what is it that we're doing that's putting us in this situation? But
So I looked at that, and it almost is like, at least half the time it's the right play call. The problem is our coverage is just trash. Like we can't figure out how to read the play that's coming to us and actually play that zone correctly. Like it's just one of those things where I feel like some of the times it's the right play call and we're just playing bad on defense, and then sometimes we need to put a little pressure on. I can't figure it out, and it's the second half. The first half, the defense just looks unstoppable every time. I mean, they only scored 6 points in the first half. They gave up 88 total yards. They gave up 98 yards to Bailey for rushing. But overall, the run defense, again, kind of stays strong a little bit. I think 88's the most that we've given up in quite a while, too. It's all, and I think that's part of it is that we are forcing them to throw the ball and try and get that one or two interceptions to really change the game. As good as our run defense is, I think that's why they're playing zone. Is they're they're just covering the rush and tell you, hey, you got to beat us with a deep ball. That's basically what we're doing right now. The problem is they start figuring out in the second half, and we're not making adjustments.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting to that point, like you said, teams are forced to throw the ball. I mean, you're down as big as, the last couple of weeks. These teams have been down, 3 touchdowns in the second half. I mean, you got to score quick and you got to throw it. I'd like to see some more blitzes from the defense. I feel like, obviously our defensive line is, next level good in my opinion, and they're getting there occasionally, but I feel like if we put some more heat on the quarterback to force them into some decisions, because man, he just sit back there in that game, and I think it was Savion Williams for TCU, the receiver, just big body guy, and I think he ended up having like 11 catches on the day. I mean, they were targeting him. It seemed like over and over and over and over again, and we couldn't slow it down for some reason. So I just like to see from the defense maybe a little bit more of a blitz to kind of force these quarterbacks, because it's not like these are honestly even top 50 quarterbacks in college football. Like these are
No,
these are not elite quarterbacks, and I feel like if you give these guys enough time just to sit back there, they're going to pick you apart. Like I feel like if you put some pressure on these guys that are young and immature, they're going to make mistakes, and I feel like we just keep sitting back and kind of letting the other team kind of dictate the tempo of the game. And I don't understand why that keeps happening in the second half, and it's frustrating. I mean, offensively, I thought we did, you know, obviously good enough to win the game. 29 points was the lowest point total we've had in a little while, but there was plenty of opportunities to score more points in that second
oh
half, and we
yes,
really we really just sputtered. Quinn looked shaky. Quinn looked shaky for probably half the game, maybe a little bit more, but he started getting into a rhythm. And then for some reason, I don't know why Sark just decided to rush the ball like 10 times in a row on that one drive. It's like, I get we want to like melt the clock and kind of like flex our muscle on these guys, but like you can't just be so one dimensional that you defenses are just swarming at that point. So
but didn't we say the exact
yeah, I
opposite
know.
for last
I
week? It
know.
was like,
I
hey, why don't
know.
we run the ball a little more when we're up big? Let's just run the clock out, and now we do it. And now we see the opposite effect. It's like, okay, now
It's
we got to
just
figure
some
out which one we
balance.
want. Okay. Um,
Balance.
So Texas did get. I mean, the offensive line held strong. I mean, they didn't give up any sacks on Quinn. Defense got 3 sacks. Auburn guy
Yeah, he's
looks good
solid, dude.
still. I mean,
Solid.
it's much better than last year. I mean, at this point now, that 49-yarder was about all he's got.
Yeah.
He did not have much to spare on that last one that he kicked, but um, overall, Auburn looks good. But we're talking about the defense. I don't understand how at the beginning of the season we're talking about how all these corners and backs are supposed to be so good on the defense, and we're still just playing zone. If we're that
Right.
good and we're that fast, play man.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand that portion. I mean, we give up 164 yards. Williams had 164 yards by himself. Like that's the stuff that I don't understand.
Yeah.
Um, and you can't let TCU come back on that. You've got to next week is going to be interesting. 6:30 game. It, it's this is the one that I'm worried about. The Texas Tech one, I'm not even as worried about as the Iowa State one. The Iowa State one, if we can get past that, it's going to be big. But at this point, big news is Brooks is out for the season.
Yeah.
That one hurt a lot. Good news is on that, we've got a ton of talent in the back position right now. Baxter started to look a little better at the end of that. He had 18 carries for 61 yards. Baxter was starting, he seemed to start to get it a little bit more. But now we're going to see red. We're going to see blue come out a little more. We've got, think how many running backs we have right now. We just have a slew of running backs. And honestly, at the beginning of the season, we were like, okay, we had a platoon of running backs is what we thought we were going to have. And all of a sudden, Brooks just comes out slamming the ball. So at the end of the day, we're going to be okay in the running back position. It's that defensive side that we've really got to solidify, I feel like.
Dude, I keep wondering what it was that Baxter was putting on tape during the spring and fall camps that had him listed as a starter. Because, he hasn't been bad, but there hasn't been anything that would make you think like, oh, yeah, he was the starter. And Jonathan Brooks has just been phenomenal all season. I just don't understand what's ended up getting him the starting spot.
It's almost like the Cowboys with Ezekiel Elliott and Pollard. Like, it's like Baxter is the Ezekiel Elliott where he's just trying to ram people down their throat, and Brooks is the one making the finesse moves, getting to the outside, finding the hole. It's almost kind of the analogy that I have for it right now. The way it looks for me is Baxter's just trying to run people over at some points, he's not able to move side to side as well. Whereas Brooks is a little bit more patient and sits back and looks for the hole and then runs to it. Is a little more explosive. So that's what I think the difference is, and Baxter's going to have to figure that out. Yes, he's a true freshman, and honestly, this last game he looked the best for me for this season so far that he's looked. Now it wasn't great, but as far as him and developing, he seemed to find it a little bit more for me. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what he can do.
Go
ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah.
No, you're good. I was just going to say, like, kind of piggybacking off what you were saying, I think it's ultimately like the speed of the game. I think he's still trying to figure it out at this college level. His vision is just not quite what you would expect from the caliber of player that he was coming out of high school. And it really does seem like he's still trying to figure out, how to be patient and how to hit those holes like Brooks has, because obviously we have the line to create opportunities for these running backs. So, I hope he, takes control of this job. But like you said, we have a handful of other guys that I really hope get some looks as well, with red and blue back there. And heck, maybe even we get Jay Witt getting some carries. I know he's had a few this year, and he was a big running back in high school.
Let's calm down.
So,
okay.
So I would love to see him get some carries.
Calm down a little bit. We've got plenty of other athletes in the running back side.
We got talent. I'm not too concerned there, but obviously Brooks has been a workhorse for us all year.
So we have Iowa coming up, and we've got this clown. Let's just hear what he has to say from Iowa State.
It's definitely going to be one heck of a farewell present. I think especially they're going to come in here on senior night in the dark. I don't think they really know what is going to be coming for them. I think they'll have to come out and figure it out. But I think just the Cyclone community names, when it comes to night games, especially against Texas, they've what we beat them 4 out of the last 5 times they've been here. So they don't have a good record here. We have a very distasteful in our mouth for them. We definitely want to send them off to the SEC with a loss on our end. But it's going to be a good game.
Tell us more about that distaste for them.
Oh yeah, it's just ever since I got here, it was Iowa and Texas. That's kind of the thing, and the horns down all the time and whatnot. But it's just that program, much like Oklahoma, they get all the big 5-star recruits. They have all the nicest stuff in the world, and they just think they're they don't stink, put in layman's terms. But they're just humans, and that's how I see them. They're just people that have such a high ego that needs to be checked.
That is Jared Hufford, offensive lineman for Iowa State, who just put a gigantic target on his back for this game. What a crybaby. That is, oh, they have the nicer stuff. Oh, their stuff doesn't stink. Thank you for giving us ammo, as we shared this video earlier in the group chat. And yeah, I hope Sark is just sharing this and just playing it on repeat, because this is the stuff we need to absolutely barrel into Iowa State and run them over. This is not smart, to be honest, at this point. Like, he's got nothing to lose. Let's be real here. But as nervous as I was going into this, when I saw this, I was like, oh, well, I mean, Texas by a million again. Okay, cool. So we're good. And by a million, I mean, I guess we won by 3 points last week. So, yeah. So what do you guys think about the Iowa State game?
I mean, it's always nerve-wracking going to Ames, but a little bit more confident this year than years in the past, for sure. Run games, the hinge point was, can we actually do the run game? But I'm pretty confident. I think they're going to have a good game plan, fired up, see the light at the end of the tunnel, and get this one done.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa State's looked better. Obviously, they started out really rough. You know, everybody was calling for Campbell's head like immediately when that loss to, I think, Ohio earlier in the season. So they had 2 losses earlier in the season and kind of found their stride as of late. But I don't know, man. I just feel like obviously this is another situation where we're the way more talented team all around. You know, there's no reason why we shouldn't be winning this game by 2 touchdowns, and you're kind of giving fuel to the fire, you know, with them making comments like that, and they've made comments like that in the past with the whole 5-star player versus, the thing that they said. But, you know, it's just kind of one of those things that, you know, a handful of the defenders for sure saw that, because they tweeted out about it and just put bet, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
okay, can we
that's
stop that? Can we stop the bet stuff with Michigan? Like, okay, what is it? Beat every team? Is that what it is? I had to look it up. I'm too old for this. I can't figure it out. But yeah, let's stop with the bet stuff. Okay.
So they saw it. I mean, this is a game we should be winning by a couple of touchdowns. But obviously, Ames is tough. You know, this is the anniversary of the Bo Davis meltdown in the bus 2 years ago in Ames, where we got our butt kicked, and he fully, broke down and was like, "If y'all are going to play around, get in the transfer portal." And honestly, since then, it's kind of changed our culture, and things have changed ever since then. So I don't know, man. I'm confident going to this game. I feel good about this. I feel like this is our chance to kind of prove, because even the line just shows that people aren't really believing in us with this line being at 7. So
did it go down to 7? Because it was at 7.5 this afternoon.
It may still be at 7.5, but but still, that we're playing a 6-win team on the road, and we're only favored to win by 7.5. That just shows that the country kind of feels like we're sputtering here.
Well, yes and no. I mean, typically road games, they basically spot 3 points for being on the road. So basically, they give Iowa State 3 points. It would be -3 just for being on the road. So
Right.
I mean, typically that's if we were at home, it'd be a 10.5 at this point. But at the same time, I can tell you what their game plan is going to be. It's going to be throwing the ball, because they can't run the football. Their leading rusher has 467 yards on the season, so they won't be running the ball. So we're going to need to see a lot more blitzing. We're going to need to see some man. We're going to need to change it up this time, because passing the ball is the only thing they know how to do. So we're going to need the defense to step up. I think we're going to see that prevent defense again for a little bit, the zone coverage, but we're going to need to mix in the blitzes in there, because we know they're not going to run the ball. So you might as well just throw it at them, make them block a little bit. I don't know. I'm a little nervous for the game just because it's in Ames, but other than that, I mean, Texas, honestly, if we're worried about playing Iowa State, we don't need to be talking about playoffs. Like, at this point, like, we can't say that and say, hey, we have an opportunity to make the playoffs. Like, at the end of the day, talking about let it go. Yes, in previous times we've lost these games. We just need to go in there and take care of business again, and make it happen. So it'll be interesting. The Big 12 is in a big shakeup right now. Have y'all seen that there has been clarification on the tiebreaker rules?
I didn't see that.
No, I haven't seen this. I saw a clip that like was titled something like that, but I didn't watch the video.
So basically, the way it's going to work right now is Oklahoma State wins out. Oklahoma State will be in the Big 12 championship. Texas could win this weekend and lose next weekend and still be in the Big 12 if Iowa State doesn't win the next weekend. So, but the way the tiebreaker is basically working is Oklahoma State, which by the way, Oklahoma State plays Houston and BYU for the last two games. So Oklahoma State, unless something weird happens, which happened against UCF, they got smoked last weekend.
Okay.
Unless that happens, Oklahoma State will be in there. If not, I can't even follow all the tiebreaker stuff because if Oklahoma State loses, K-State, Oklahoma, I think, does Oklahoma have the tiebreaker over K-State or do they even play each other?
They
I don't think
play
they
They
play
don't
each
play
other. So I'm pretty sure the way it worked is if Oklahoma loses another, I know if Oklahoma loses another one, Iowa State loses another or loses this weekend, and then Oklahoma State loses, then Kansas State is in. But Kansas State would go in over OU. So if Oklahoma State loses, then Kansas State would go in over OU. It's a wild scenario of what's going on right now. So lots to shake out still in the Big 12, but Texas just needs to take care of business this week and next week, and then go from there.
Interesting.
I'm looking for going to the Big 12 championship, boys. So if y'all are interested, let me know now.
I'm very interested.
Okay, good. All right. See you in Arlington. We'll make a stop by the World Series champions stadium real quick, and then we'll go over to the game.
Oh, crap. Maybe John, you want to ride together?
So scores from there really wasn't really many surprising scores from last week. Let's see. Ohio State took care of business against Michigan State, but it's Michigan State. They're a terrible football team. Georgia smacked Ole Miss. I mean, it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
Michigan and Penn State was a good game. Michigan ends up just running the ball 40 times at the end of the game to win. Miami almost pulled that out against Florida State. But Florida State wins 27-20. That Washington State-Utah game was nutty. Like, that was a very fun football game to watch. But Washington, man, they're looking good. I don't know what else. The problem for them is that they've got to win out. I feel like if they're a one-loss team, even through their championship, like they're not going to make it. Oregon squeaks by over USC. Alabama smoked Kentucky. Missouri smoked Tennessee. Tennessee just laid down, scored 7 points in that game.
That's surprising.
That Oklahoma State game surprised me more than anything. UCF is not a fantastic football team at all, and smoked Oklahoma State, who just beat Oklahoma. So now we're back to the Big 12, just beating each other again. Like that's all it is.
Ollie Gordon couldn't get anything going. I don't understand what happened in that game.
And then Kansas laid down against Texas Tech. Texas Tech goes up 10-0, and then kicks 2 more field goals in the third and the fourth to win it 16-13. Oklahoma smoked West Virginia. Florida put up a little bit of a fight against LSU. Arizona gave up the lead against Colorado, and then Arizona comes back to win. That North Carolina Duke game. North Carolina was getting beat pretty good for a little bit, and comes back to win it 47-45 in double overtime, I believe it was. And then Kansas State took care of Baylor. So there really wasn't any huge surprises for this week, this past week. What are you guys excited for coming up this week?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot of like big time matchups across the board. Looking at it, it's just There's a few that will be fun to watch for sure. Washington, Oregon State is going to be fun. Oregon State has a chance because they play Washington and Oregon back-to-back weeks, so that's kind of the chance for us to have the spoilers up in front of us with those two teams. And then Kansas State's always a fun game. That's gonna be fun to see if Kansas can bounce back after a tough loss because they were better than that. They're better than what they played in that game. So, but those are kind of the only ones I really have circled. I think Washington and Oregon State is going to be the best game of the week.
I have a question. How is Oklahoma favored by 24.5 points at BYU? Like, I get BYU is not good, but 24.5 points is absurd.
Yeah.
For the way Oklahoma's been playing. Like, what?
I saw that.
The over-under is 57.5 on that game, too. So they're basically saying Oklahoma's not going to play defense either on that game. I think the big game to watch is going to be that Washington Oregon State. I think Oregon State's going to beat them. Oregon State's actually favored by 2.5 in that game.
Let's go.
I think that's the one that's going to break the camel's back on that one.
You don't want to watch Chattanooga versus Alabama in Tuscaloosa?
How fantastic would that be if Alabama lost to Chattanooga, though? That'd be so great.
Dude, it is such a weird week. It's really slow, but I'd say the game I'm looking forward to most outside of ourselves is OU at BYU, just because home field advantage for BYU, the altitude. I want to watch them.
Oh boy,
run over.
I'm gonna tell you, there's just zero chance I'm turning that game on. Actually, it's a 6:30 game on Black. Oh wait, no, that's the morning game. So that'll be right before we have Thanksgiving dinner or at lunch. I believe it's 11 a.m. game on Friday. I think.
Which game are you talking about?
Yeah, it's
at Oklahoma. Yeah, 11 a.m. on Friday.
No, you're mixed up. You're on the wrong week.
No, that's this week.
That's the Saturday.
What? Oh, this Saturday. Next week. Never mind.
Yeah,
that's gonna be the Houston. That's I don't remember who are they playing. Who's Oklahoma playing next week?
There's some.
TCU. That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I'm really excited to watch that game. I'm not going to be turning on that Oklahoma BYU game. That's going to be a bore fest.
Oh.
No, I'd rather work on the house for Thanksgiving coming up than do that. We're having Thanksgiving at the house. We're having all the family over, and we have to completely remodel the house every year for Thanksgiving when we have people over. So can't wait. All right, so picks of the week last week. Well, let's go over the conference championship picks real quick, just so we know where we're at. SEC, Seth has Georgia, Jono has LSU.
Yeah, I'm out on that one.
And I have Georgia. Penn State, Big Ten. Seth has Penn State. Jono has Ohio State, and I have Michigan.
You're out on that one, Seth.
Pac-12, Seth has Oregon. Oh, no, sorry. Jono has Oregon, I'm pretty sure. Well, the way this is lined up is that Seth has Oregon, Jono has Washington, and I have UCLA. But
you have UCLA?
Is that correct? Yeah, I had UCLA.
I think ours is flipped. I think Seth had Washington, I had Oregon.
That's what I thought. Okay.
I think. Is that right, Seth?
I think that's right. I'm going to go back and look at the tape.
Yeah, we'll have to look back.
Yeah, because I picked Oregon. I want to say I threw it off. It was thrown off because I thought he was going to take Washington and he took Oregon instead, but maybe not. And then ACC, Seth has Louisville and Jono and I both have UNC. Is what I have. So I'm going to go back and watch the tape of looking at who we chose just to verify. As far as the picks from last week, I went 1-2. Seth went 1-2, and Jono went 2-1. Somehow he has clawed back. I think he had like three. It was like 3-7. Yeah, it was terrible. And now you're 11-12. Seth and I are both 10-12-1. So you're a half a game in front right now.
We both had 10 wins last week.
Huh?
Thought we both had twins last week.
No, we had 9. It was 9, 10, and 1.
Okay.
We were both 9, 10, and 1, and Jono was 9 and 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So this week, Jono has to go first because he's the leader in the clubhouse, I guess. So
Okay. I just piggyback
Steal-
off y'all's.
steal your picks.
I know that's
I
the
just-
problem.
I just-
That's why
I just picked the opposite of
Yeah.
y'all. First one, I'm taking Utah over Arizona. I think Arizona is actually favored in that game, but Utah's looked pretty solid all year, so I'm going to take them there. I'm taking Kansas with a bounce back game over Kansas State. I think they bounce back. Kansas takes it there, and then my last one, I'm taking Nebraska over Wisconsin.
Oh, really?
Trying to go 0
Nebraska over
3.
Wisconsin.
Wait, so you have Wisconsin over Nebraska?
No, Nebraska over Wisconsin.
Okay.
Dude, Wisconsin has not looked good recently.
Nebraska's terrible.
They'll be all right. Just
What's
wait and
the
see.
spread? Just wait and see.
Just-
Okay.
Did you
He's
check
getting all
spreads on any
cocky
of
now
those?
that he
I'm at-
took
I'm
a
in
1
first
game
place.
lead and he's getting all
I'm in
cocky.
first
Here we go. All of a sudden, he's all down in the dumps. Like, okay, I'll just play, I guess, for the rest of the season. Now he's like, oh, look at me. Let's see, Wisconsin
4.5. 4.5
Okay,
point
there
favorite.
it is.
Two
You're
5 and 5
taking-
teams.
You're taking the Huskers.
I'm taking the Huskers, man. Matt
Okay.
Rule, you know.
Yeah, Matt Rule. All right, Seth, who you got?
Let's see. I was gonna ask, did you take everything straight up, just winners, or did you take spreads? Don't remember.
He took spreads. Oh wait, did you?
I took everything straight up
Oh,
because
so no spreads on everything. Oh,
because a couple of these like
what a
Wisconsin
dummy.
Wisconsin's favored.
You got 7.5 points on Kansas. Like, why would you not take the points there?
So, I mean, I said what I said. It's already
Put your
done.
parlay in, dude.
Said
Make some
what I
money on
said.
that. Put your parlay in. All right, Seth, what do you got?
All right, first one I got Louisville versus Miami. Did I write this down correctly?
What do you
I'm
got?
taking Louisville over Miami. Louisville to cover the spread.
It's a 0.5 point. Right now, currently, Miami is a 0.5 point favorite.
And then
So there is no spread on that.
yeah, I think I wrote that down wrong. But yeah, I'm taking Louisville over Miami. My bad.
Okay, got it.
And then I'm going Rutgers to cover the Penn State line.
I like that. Rutgers has been playing decent.
They've been hanging in
football.
bowl games.
I mean, for 20.5 points.
And then OU versus BYU. BYU covers.
Yeah, I like that too.
Don't steal them.
I can't. It's the rules. I'm taking Northwestern over Purdue. Purdue is -3. I'm taking Northwestern straight up. I don't even need those points. I am taking. I'm going to do different conferences, so I'm going to go for the SEC here. There's no spread even on the A&M ACU game.
No?
Literally nothing. I'm taking Mizzou -11.5 over Florida.
That's a good one. Dude, where did
And
this
then my
read come
Big
from?
12 matchup. Actually, I'm going to go Pac-12 here. Yeah, I'm taking Oregon State -2.5 over Washington. Yeah, I'll be in the lead next week. Don't worry, boys. I'll be in the lead.
You took Oregon State over Washington straight up? Or
I took Oregon State over Washington straight up. Or no, not straight up. Oregon State -2.5. So
Okay.
they're gonna win by 3.
Yeah, it'll be a fun game.
What about old Jimbo being fired after blowing out Mississippi State?
Love it. Love it. Well, no, I
Weird
don't love it.
move.
I'm lying. I don't love it. I
Actually,
wish
that's
he
what
stuck around.
I was really hoping A&M was just dumb enough to just keep him around for one more year, so we could at least demolish.
It felt like
him.
they were going to. It felt like they were going to keep him for one more year. I was
That's
actually
what.
surprised that they came out and did that. Did you see that video? I think Barstool posted it where they had some donors during halftime
Yes,
of the game come out with a check,
it's like
and they were
160
like,
mil.
"Oh, so there's the money for Jimbo's buyout that they just flexed at halftime."
This is awkward.
Yeah,
Who do you think? Who do you think the next coach is going to be?
Mike Elko calling it.
Okay, John.
Wow.
Who do you think?
Man, it's tough, man. I feel like they're gonna want to have a big splash. You already hear rumors of
I don't think
big,
they will.
big,
They already
big
spent too
name
much.
guys,
I don't.
but I feel like it's kind of a random one. But I'm gonna go Lanning with Oregon.
Really?
I think he wants to jump to the SEC. I think
I've heard.
with
Yeah.
Oregon going to the Big Ten, I don't know. He just seems like a guy that would want to be in the SEC, and it
He's just
seems like
straight up lying.
they would have the money to pull him. It's going to be the oil money versus the freaking Nike money up there.
Did you see his comments already on the A&M job?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
People
Don't
are
take
going to
him
say
for his
that.
word, huh?
What do you expect people to say? That's Dabo too. What do you expect people to say right now, especially when
Yeah.
you're in the mix for the playoffs? You're going to have to
Oh, yeah.
downplay everything. But
Gary Patterson, boys.
you got Gary Patterson. I've heard that.
Patterson.
I saw an article today that he was talking about that he wants to come back, but it'd have to be the right situation. I was curious about that.
I mean, he's been in the Texas locker room with Sark. A&M would love that.
I hate that.
I saw there was a Reddit post that popped up. It's like, oh, Texas is going to figure out who the little brother is now that we've fired our coach. It's like, bro, like you're going to have to rebuild again because he's wasted all your recruiting classes. Like you've had great recruiting classes that have just been demolished because he doesn't know how to coach. I mean, I think he's been through 6 college QBs in the last like 3 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's wild. It's like he's ruined everything. So they're gonna have to rebuild a little bit still. It's gonna take a big name for them to get better recruits for next year again.
How much of an exodus do you think is coming? I mean, it's hard to tell until you know what coach is coming in. But
yeah,
I'm
that's
really
the problem.
curious.
Is they're all gonna wait. They're gonna wait, and I'm hoping they don't do it before signing day. That's gonna be a big key, and I guarantee you they're gonna try and rush that.
Yeah.
I bet you that's why they're doing this now. Is number one, they wanted to do it because they didn't want him to blow out opponents towards the end of the year and then have to keep him. Right. So that's why they did it now and said, okay, you're done. And then they want to do it before signing so they can start getting all these recruits, try and pull them over from there. I think that's a big key for them right now to figure out who's coming.
I just want Evan Stewart, man. He's like the only recruit that I was like so mad about A&M getting over the last decade.
Yeah.
And come on home, man. Come on home.
Quinn coming back.
Yeah.
Looks like.
I feel like he is.
I think he's coming back, and I think Brooks is going to come back.
That'd be great.
Brooks is. I mean, both of them would be very smart for them to do that right now. Like it's a different world now than it was before NIL. Now you can get paid for playing in college still, and you get paid really well still.
Yeah.
So basically, he's just making a couple more mil. Quinn's just going to make a couple more mil this next year to come back, and then you're not going to have as many QBs. You're not going to have a big QB draft class next year. Go make a bunch of money next year. Business-wise, it makes a whole lot more sense. But I don't know. And Arch isn't going anywhere. Let's calm down. He's not going anywhere. Malik will go somewhere. Malik will leave. Yeah. We won't have 3 quarterbacks. But the amount of talent that we have, though, like look at our wide receiving core, like just waiting in the wings, like Ryan Wingo. You still got a bunch of talent still in the wide receiver core, running backs. The defense is going to be a big focus. I feel like this off season, but we still got a long ways to go this season. So we've got 2 more games. It feels like the season it slowed down and then sped up, and now I'm just ready to get to the end of the season. Now I'm ready for next week. Let's take care of business this week. Let's beat the living dog piss out of Texas Tech. Like that's the one thing I want. That's the one thing I want is just absolutely demolish them next week. And then let's go get a Big 12 championship. So we're almost there.
Dallas is going to be fun, man. It's been a while since we've been there, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah, tickets aren't terrible right now. I looked them up. I mean, nosebleeds are like $100 right now, so they're not bad. But we'll see. I've never been to a Big 12 championship before, so I'd really like to go to one and get some more World Series gear while I'm there. And not that I don't have enough stuff already, but it's starting to come in now. All that World Series gear is coming in now. So
we need to call Joe up and see if he wants to go to the game with us again this year.
Yeah, I know, man.
Oh yeah.
He'll make the trip.
Yeah, I'm sure, man.
You guys got anything else?
No, I think that buttons it up for me.
I mean, we didn't really talk about Michigan too much, did we?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Other than the bet, but I feel like we got to touch on that a little bit. How do y'all feel about the 3-game suspension? It seems kind of a little slap on the wrist.
No, it's not a slap on the wrist. It shouldn't have even happened. The Big Ten shouldn't have even stepped in my opinion. Like,
they were forced to. There's too much pressure.
Yeah, but did you hear what I saw? There was a tweet that came out today, and I don't know how accurate it is. However, apparently Michigan now has stuff on Rutgers, Ohio State, Michigan State that they just turned over to the Big Ten. So we'll see about that. Derek Holland tweeted that. Someone he retweeted another tweet about that basically Michigan just turned over a bunch of documentation that proves that all of these other teams have been giving them Michigan signals. So now you're just going to suspend every coach like that. They knew it was going to happen. Like I think Michigan was waiting in the wing, and now you're going to have every coach suspended in the Big Ten for the last 2 games of the season. This is going to be fantastic. I don't know. Like, if you're gonna, it's a weird move. Like, because what's going to suck is the NCAA is going to take another year to actually figure out and do their investigation.
Right.
So there's not going to be any implications. Now, it comes time where Michigan loses one, they may be on the outs, and the committees may be like, "Hey, we don't want to deal with this mess later. Let's just go ahead and move another team into the playoffs. Let's move them out." That may play a bigger role than any of the ramifications from the investigation a year later. So I don't know. We'll see. It's weird for me. Like, I don't know. Did we ever figure out if that was their coach that was just on the sidelines in another
Central
team's
Michigan
gear? Yeah, in another team's gear, just on the sidelines. Have y'all found out if that was accurate or not?
Nah, I never saw if that was true.
Oh, I didn't think it was questioned. I thought it was already known that was him.
Oh, really?
That's what I thought. I don't.
I was under understanding like it was like, hey, this guy looks just like it, and that was the last I had heard of it. So I don't know.
I know the coach made comments that they don't have anybody on their staff that they were able.
Yeah,
to
I saw that they were investigating on their staff. It's like, wait, you don't know who works for you? Like, huh? So I don't know.
It felt rushed. It just felt like the Big Ten, like everybody, all eyes were on them. I feel like they were just kind of like forced to make some kind of decision, because I heard that other Big Ten schools were, pushing them to try to force this along. And I'm like, dude, this is right during the middle of the season. This just feels like something that should have been investigated over the next 6 months, and then a decision's made in the off season. It seemed rushed and pushed at this point, and then it was just kind of like, okay, you suspend him for the last 3 games. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't agree with it, to be honest. Like, it's just kind of one of those, like, let the NCAA do it. Don't step in because guess what? He's gonna be back on the sidelines for the playoffs if they make it. So,
right,
you're not gonna be able to do anything about it then. So, we'll see.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because that was one thing that kind of came down.
Yeah, I forgot
recently.
about that. Yeah.
The biggest story
so-
in college football right now.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm still trying to catch up in life from baseball. So like I'm able to watch games again. Like I'm ready being able to be engaged in college football and fantasy football, and which by the way, league leader in our league, by the way. Thank you, boys.
I saw
Running
that.
away with it right now in the regular season, but I'm
Yeah,
starting to
John
come
was going to
back.
beat you this last week.
Yeah, I
Oh
know.
man, dude, I was like, I was like, I have no shot. I have no shot. And then all of a sudden, we're sitting there at the 2-minute warning, and I'm like,
Bro,
dude, I may do this. And then Josh Allen decides to freaking run the ball.
Sutton was the
man.
only thing
What a
that saved
punk.
me on that. Like
Yeah.
Sutton
Yeah.
having that touchdown and everything. That was the only because I was down like what 35 points, I think, somewhere around in there, with Josh Allen and Cortland Sutton to play left and pulled it out. But I've actually been doing decent in all my fantasy leagues. I'm either one of the top point scorers or I'm in first in the league. So I'll be making the playoffs in all my leagues this year.
So happy for you, TJ.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Seth, you're kinda
aren't you in first?
You're kind of slumping right now, Seth.
Am I in first?
Yeah, I thought you were in first in your division.
Your division. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, in my division, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was a trash division, but yeah, you're I think you're first in that division.
You're talking about the commissioner right there. Those are shots fired.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. The commissioner and who else is in that league? Let's see. Squid, the guy that like took over a team. And then Brad. Brad is got
One win.
Brad has one win. One. And he beat his wife. Like that, not actually beat his wife. He was playing him in fantasy football and he won against her. So let's just clear that up. But yeah,
Starting
it's
to cry right now.
I know. Yeah, Brad's beating his wife. Huh? Sorry, Joy. Wink twice if you're okay. But yeah, it's actually a fun league. I thought it was going to be a little bit more intense with the league that we were in. I'm starting to get it a little more. I still think it's a little too much for just a redraft league, but I enjoy it.
All
I
right.
appreciate you guys
I
letting
like
me
it.
into that. I do.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a fun year. I like Sleeper. Switching over to Sleeper this year.
I'll tell you right now. So this is your first year in Sleeper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, we did Sleeper when it first came out and it was awful. The notifications were like if you had notifications on, you got notifications for everything, including, hey, we just came out with this new avatar. Hey, make sure to change your team pom-poms. Like you got a notification for everything and you couldn't turn
that's
them
annoying.
off. So the first couple of years I was like, nope, we're done. We tried it 1 year and we moved right back to ESPN. It is a lot better now. They were leading the league as far as fantasy groups, as far as their news and everything. When they first came out, the way they updated their players and everything was good. They still had little kinks to work out of that, but so far this year, it has been way better. Which, when my other fantasy league finds out about this, it will make the group chat because I was lead leaguer in get out of using this app because it is terrible. I led the charge and going back to ESPN, and now they're gonna. I'm sure Jack McBee, the only one from the group that actually watches this, because Buck, who played for TCU, suck it. Yeah, he's no one else will actually listen to the podcast because we're not Longhorn fans except for Craig. But yeah, Jack will definitely be sending this now to the group chat. So we'll see. But anything else you guys want to talk about?
You're watching the game this week.
Yeah. Where?
Yeah.
I'll be. What time's the game? I
6:30,
actually don't know because we'll be with Elliot's birthday party, and then I guess we'll figure out after that.
Yes. Yeah. it should be
Elliot's
wrapping it.
turning
He just turned 7.
7. That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, just doing a little bit of a late party, but just getting the family together since everybody's been sick and stuff. It's finally a chance
Dude.
for everybody to get together, man. It's been a brutal couple
Everybody.
weeks.
It's been like a month and a half since we've been trying to get together for Chick-fil-A and like we were gonna like Becca and John L figured out how to make Chick-fil-A at home. So they've been all excited. And we had to cancel dinner 3 weeks in a row because everyone started getting sick over and over and over again. So
Jeez.
yeah. But well, other than that, I guess we'll see you guys after we beat Iowa State. Move on to Texas Tech. We will see you guys next week. Hook 'em, boys.
Welcome.